This is Big Island Video News for Thursday, August 23, 2012. I'm Stephanie Salazar. 112 people will lose their jobs when the Keoho Beach Hotel closes in late October. The announcement was made by Kamehameha Schools on Wednesday. The landowner directed its for-profit subsidiary, KBH Incorporated, to give Outrigger Hotel's management formal notice that the hotel, located in Kahalu'u, Makai, and a part of the 2,400-acre Keoho Resort, will be wound down in compliance with all applicable laws and regulations. The hotel will honor all reservations currently booked up to October 31, 2012. Once the hotel closes, the property will be turned over to Kamehameha Schools for ultimate disposition. Officials say planning is underway to demolish the hotel structure itself in order to create the opportunity for Kamehameha Schools to reclaim and restore a portion of the cultural landscape that has been covered for decades. Examples of such restoration work are already visible at a number of heiau, and when the hotel structures are removed, additional cultural restoration can begin. In a Q&A section of the media release distributed on Wednesday, Kamehameha Schools tried to explain why the hotel needs to be closed. They said that financial losses had been significant over the past 6 years and that the cost of renovating or repurposing the hotel would be prohibitive, in the range of tens of millions of dollars, and a very low probability of recovering that investment. And Kamehameha Schools' overall vision for these properties has shifted away from resort operations and toward a culture and Aina-based learning center. Officials say they considered several alternatives to the closure, including selling the hotel or even turning the property into a timeshare operation, but their analysis concluded that continued operation of the hotel was not economically feasible. As for the 112 full and part-time employees that will be out of a job this fall, Kamehameha Schools said in a statement that representatives from Kamehameha Schools will be meeting with Outrigger and ILWU representatives to discuss possible ways to help ease the transition for Keoho Beach Hotel employees. Hotel workers will be able to get more details and updates from their Outrigger Human Resources Associates and ILWU representatives in the coming days. The hotel is the 10th largest on the Big Island and the 24th largest employer on the island, according to Pacific Business News. The parents of Tyler Madoff, the 15-year-old boy who was swept out to sea at Kealakekua Bay during a trip on the 4th of July, have filed a wrongful death lawsuit.
My wife and I would like to thank all of the good people here on the Big Island who have helped us during this time of sadness.
This was Michael and Marianne Madoff when they arrived on the Big Island after their son went missing along the Kona coast.
But we as a family have decided not to take action against the tour company that we entrusted our son with.
They have since changed their mind.
Shame on you.
One thing that hasn't changed, their anger with Bold Earth Teen Adventures, the Colorado-based teen tour company leading the excursion.
The people from Bold Earth Expeditions have shown poor judgment and extremely poor character.
The lawsuit, filed in the federal court in Honolulu, names Bold Earth and also Hawaii Pack and Paddle, the locally based group, apparently hired to guide the visitors by kayak out to the Ka'avaloa Lighthouse. A bit of a surprise considering the Madoffs expressed gratitude to the Pack and Paddle guides during this press conference in Kona.
Ola and Letitia, you saved lives on Wednesday. You saved other families from this great sadness that we now feel. You are heroes. And we will always remember you.
All that I know is that Nolan and I reacted to a bad situation. And we just did the best that we could, that was in our ability.
And we're not here to do the blame game, to point fingers saying he said, she said. We want everybody to know our stories.
Nolan Ola Reed, a guide with Hawaii Pack and Paddle, is named as an individual in the lawsuit. Reed, seen here reliving the moment on camera after the incident, kept some of the other teens from being swept away and jumped into the surf to rescue 15-year-old Matthew Izate of Florida, who was badly injured but survived.
I ran into the water and I dove off the cliff. And that's where I found Matthew's body floating up to the surface of the water, face down.
According to news reports, the Madoffs allege that the tour guides made an outrageously reckless and irresponsible decision to deviate to a treacherous lava rock area that's out of a permitted area during high surf conditions. It also claims the group leader, Bold Earth guide Andrew Mork, has a criminal history, including disorderly conduct and marijuana possession, despite tour company claims that leaders undergo background checks.
By the way, I noticed in this statement that I don't see "we're sorry."
No, they forgot to say they were sorry. They never expressed their condolences.
The incident gained national attention, covered by major TV networks and morning shows.
So I'm going to make it real easy for you. Thank you.
That pretty much sums up how this crowd of Hawaii Island residents feels about the Public Land Development Corporation and its new administrative rules.
I will not have a dictator agency in this stupid state.
Testifiers expressed outrage on Monday night.
How can you stand here and be exempt?
One by one, residents lashed out during this hearing held at the Waiakea High School cafeteria in Hilo.
And you're selling it down the tubes.
This was the first in a statewide series of public meetings on the new Hawaii administrative rules for the Public Land Development Corporation, or PLDC. And it looks like things are off to a rocky start.
Where, in what universe, do we need a corporation to handle the land for the people?
Many of these folks cringe at the apparent broad powers of the new state agency. Passed through the 2011 state legislature with astounding speed but little public fanfare, Act 55 created the Public Land Development Corporation and was hailed by Governor Neil Abercrombie.
We're not going to be going through all kinds of separate departmental silos any longer for permits and all the rest of it that takes place. The Public Lands Development Corporation will allow us, I think, to synthesize a lot of those things, right? The development side of DL&R.
The agency will develop state lands and generate revenue for the Department of Land and Natural Resources. Through public-private partnerships, the corporation aims to attract private companies as joint partners in development opportunities. The state's ailing boat harbors appear to be the first in line for the supposed benefits of the PLDC.
We have 1.7 million acres of public lands that belong to the people of this great state, and 700,000 are located here on the island of Hawaii.
But as time went on, the public began to take a closer look at the agency and began to grow concerned with the manner in which the PLDC may operate.
So wake up!
Moane Keala Akaka, a former OHA trustee, was one of the first to raise a warning.
I mean, you're not, this corporation of yours, Mr. Isla, you know, it says Public Land Optimization Plan, the key exemptions from all statutes, ordinances, charter provisions, and rules of any government agency. These guys going to be their own bosses and do what they like with our lands, lands that belong to you, your children, your grandchildren, and our future generations to come.
Now a more informed public is beginning to mobilize.
Obviously, this is not democracy. When they take away our right to have public input, when they take away the county government's input into the projects.
Former Campbell Estate land manager Lloyd Haraguchi has been named executive director of the corporation. He tried to calm the crowd before the meeting began.
I think some of you have looked at the exemptions and say, Jesus, you know, PLDC exempt from everything. We're exempt from land use and from zoning laws, yes. But what we are not exempt from, and let me be real clear, Chapter 343, which is the environmental impact statement, We are not exempt from that.
The chief concern is the intent to develop the public lands known as the ceded lands in Hawaii.
You know, for years we've been trying to save what we can of the ceded lands. These are not the state of Hawaii's lands. They're held in trust. The state is a trustee. They are not the owner. So to make an agreement with a private corporation that exempts me from using that is taking me out of that public trust. And I believe there's an error in your thinking legally. And I think you should be very, very aware of this, because I believe you could be held in breach of trust.
Again, Moani Akaka made her opinion known.
These ceded lands, seized lands, are now under the jurisdiction of the Department of Land and Natural Resources and could be turned into hotels, parking lots, office building, boat harbors, subdivisions, as your rules talk about.
Others, like Sierra Club member Corey Harden, ran down the numerous development rights given to the corporation.
PLDC can take land and terminate leases. There's only one hearing with only 6 days' notice at the Board of Land and Natural Resources in Honolulu, probably, for leases and transferring land and development rights from the state to private entities. In short, PLDC seriously oversteps the bounds of government. It sells out the aina, the culture, and the people to local and transnational corporations. PLDC should be abolished.
Many testifiers expressed deep concern over how the PLDC will enable further geothermal development on Hawaii Island.
And so now you want us to subsidize and give up our lands for more of this. And basically, you know, the reason they want that is they're making money. I mean, you're making so much money, you're not going to give that up. You know, the same people that charge us these 400% more, they're telling everybody geothermal, we got to have geothermal. It's the same people ripping us off. Why would anybody believe that?
I second the motion that the PLDC should be abolished, not amended with rules.
Towards the end of the evening, testimony grew desperate.
What's considered minerals and resources, and how you're looking at that? Like our water resource, our fish, our timber, because we're not getting 1 penny from that now, from the state. So you're already ripping off resources. So
Public Land Development Corporation is an instrument of state-sponsored tyranny.
Rise against this. You know, this is not something to ignore. This is not something to ignore. We cannot continue as a human society ignoring these things, or we're going to be stepped all over.
As folks whose lives are intertwined with Hawaii's public lands and resources spoke out against the new corporation.
Where's Mr. Isla? Yeah, he's in court. He's a big man for DNLR. Is he here? Of course not. He's saying his garoots to come here because he can't handle the pressure. And the pressure is, this is our land. Keep it our land, keep it free, keep it the way you want. What do we tell our youngsters when they grow up? Oh, the people, public land development took it. But, Papa, we used to go there when we were small. I know, we all have keikes. I'm a hunter. I love to hunt. Mountain and the ocean is ours. We live surrounded by an island. You come here, take away land, we're just like in a prison. You better tell the governor every country, bring the prison back and make a bigger prison. Because you guys gonna do this, you're gonna have to put a lot of people in jail.
Hearings will continue on all islands over the next few weeks. The final hearing will be held on August 31st on Kauai. On Wednesday, Hawaii County Police released information on 3 different autopsy results following up on fatal incidents that happened weeks ago on Hawaii Island. First, police say an autopsy determined that 50-year-old Paul S. Sang of San Francisco died from cardiac arrest and not from drowning while he was snorkeling in the waters off Mauna Lani Beach Club in South Kohala on June 13th when he was found unresponsive. He was taken to the North Hawaii Community Hospital where he was pronounced dead. In another water death, police say an autopsy determined that 71-year-old Sukun Yu of Floor Mound, Texas, died from asphyxia due to near drowning. Yu was snorkeling with a group in waters off the former Kona Village Resort along the Kohala coast on June 26 when she became unresponsive. She was taken to the North Kohala Community Hospital where she was pronounced dead. And in the third autopsy results released, it was determined that 49-year-old Barry Bokmej of Kauai High died from cardiac arrest. On June 4th, Bokmej died on the roof of a Waimea home that he had been pressure washing. Meanwhile, questions remain in regards to another death in South Kona. Big Island police renewed their request for the public's help in identifying a person whose partially decomposed body was found in Higashihara Park on July 19th. The police investigation turned up evidence that the decedent may have been a middle-aged, homeless Caucasian man measuring between 5'8" and 5'11", who frequented the Kainaliu, Kealakekua, and Honalo areas. When found at the public park in Keohomauka, he was wearing blue jeans, no shoes, a blue T-shirt depicting a SpongeBob character, and the words, "It's hip to be square." Cause of death is still undetermined. Police say they received numerous tips from the public with leads about the man's possible identity, but detectives confirm that all the persons named are still alive. Police continue to pursue forensic efforts to identify the body, but ask that anyone who knows of a person fitting that description who is unaccounted for call Detective Walter Amau at 326-4646, extension 238. Tipsters who prefer to remain anonymous may call Crime Stoppers at 961-8300 in Hilo or 329-8181 in Kona and may be eligible for a reward of up to $1,000. Big Island police have charged a 49-year-old Volcano man with several firearms-related offenses stemming from an incident in Puna on Sunday night. Keith Kapena Hulehe'e was initially arrested when police responded to his home in Mauna Loa Estates after receiving reports of shots being fired in the area. Hulehe'e allegedly informed police that he had an explosive device and wanted to turn it over to police. When police found what appeared to be an explosive device on Hulehe'e's property, they evacuated nearby residents. Hulehe'e was taken into custody even though no one was threatened with a device and no one was injured during the incident. U.S. Marines who are conducting training exercises at the Pohakaloa training area responded to the scene. They determined that the item was a military gas canister that did not pose any danger. Police detectives did not find any explosive devices on the property during the execution of a search warrant, but did recover ammunition and drugs. Although Hulehe'e was released without charges for his initial arrest, he was arrested again as the result of the new information. On Monday evening, Hulehe'e was charged with 4 counts of ownership, possession prohibited for being a convicted felon in possession of ammunition, 1 count of third-degree promotion of a dangerous drug, and 1 count of drug paraphernalia. His bail was set at $120,000. The embattled Hawaii County Clerk faced the Hawaii County Council on Monday during a special meeting held in Hilo.
What went wrong does not have to do with poor planning or leadership. What went wrong has to do with staff not paying attention.
The clerk found herself defending her actions during the primary election day debacle that led to delays at polling places and an embarrassing gubernatorial proclamation extending the voting hours on the Big Island.
My review has been hampered by the removal of election records from the County of Hawaii by the State of Hawaii Office of Elections without my permission, consent, and without prior notice.
The clerk was also highly critical of the county's deputy county clerk, Steve Kavena Lopez, seen here sitting with Kawauchi during one of her recent press conferences. Kawauchi said Lopez's actions in deploying materials from the West Hawaii Civic Center created the delays in Waikoloa and Kona. Lopez was on hand to defend himself at Monday's council meeting.
Things that are not correct according to the way I lived it. I had no idea I was supposed to coordinate with the buses. That communication never happened.
Steve Kavena Lopez was in Hilo to testify on his own behalf on Monday. Here's what he had to say, again, courtesy of Hawaii 24/7.
I'm reluctantly before you in this matter only because I have been prohibited from speaking to the media. Yet my good name has been compromised in the media and in my community. I have no recourse but to bring this to your attention as the only outlet for me to correct the record. I will no longer remain silent to the media who states my name or position with incorrect information. I have no way to validate the veracity of what's printed in the media. All I can react to is what's printed there and how my name has been besmirched in the public eye. What I read was shocking, grossly incorrect, and demoralizing. I've endeavored to be a supporter of the clerk with strict allegiance to the county council, and I've been characterized, in the words of others, to be a scapegoat for the problems on election day. I'm here to state that the media reports of my involvement are grossly incorrect and at best misleading in reports as recently as August 17, 2012. In one report, it was stated that I made a major decision to take materials to Waikoloa first instead of precinct materials destined closer. This is a gross mistruth and perhaps a libelous statement. I had no knowledge of the purpose nor contents of the 3 tin cans left at West Hawaii Civic Center and was not aware that I was responsible for deployment until I heard it on a blog talk radio podcast at the Kona Beer Party August 14, 2012. Since my appointment to Deputy County Clerk, I have never had the latitude of independent decision making. All my activities are at the direction of the clerk. This statement is wrong and absurd in my working environment.
That wasn't the only eye-opening testimony given at the council that day. Primary election official Dan Lindsay also went on the record.
Now, I've worked every election since I moved to Hawaii 12 years ago, and for about 15 years previously to that on the mainland, so I've had a lot of experience here. And I'm not exaggerating when I say this was the most fouled-up election I've ever been involved with. Our materials were on time, and we managed to open on time, even though the materials were incomplete. The chairperson's envelope, which has a whole lot of very important stuff in it, was completely empty. But we did get things going. The problem was in contacting the elections office. The phone numbers didn't work, and when we finally got through, we were given 7 or 8 other numbers to use, most of which didn't work, and one of which connected us to another polling place.
Also speaking up, former Hawaii County Elections Administrator Ed Kozohara.
When I started reading about what had happened in the election office, I was just flabbergasted.
In the end, the council took no action in regards to the clerk.
There is a sense of urgency, I think, by the council and by the general public that we want to, get to the bottom of this.
So you don't really know who to believe?
You got it. And that's what I'm worried about.
The construction company behind the La'iopua project in Kona earned a distinguished award recently. Armstrong Builders received an Innovation and Green Technology Award in the 2012 Dream Home Awards. Designed and built by Armstrong Builders in partnership with the Department of Hawaiian Homelands, these dream homes are both affordable and environmentally friendly. The first homesteaders moved into the homes in June of last year.
We really challenged ourselves to come up with the most energy efficient homes that we could within an affordable price range. We were constantly had kind of that battle within our company and also with the department about affordability. But what we tried to do is and I think we successfully convinced them, was that affordability really is long-term affordability. It wasn't just the initial cost of the home.
Currently, there are 43 single-family homes in La'iopua, with future phases adding up to a total of 117 homes. The residences are centered on the concept of indoor-outdoor living.
There's a number of green features that we're really proud to incorporate and make standard features here in this project. First and foremost is the photovoltaic. Here in Kona, we have ample sunlight. We have to deal with that both to keep the heat out, but we could also take advantage of the energy that it offers us. So every home comes with 2 kilowatts of PV standard. We also use solar water. That's a standard feature for each of the homes.
All 5 of the model homes in the La'iopua community have been certified as LEED Gold.
When we come into dealing with the heat of the sun, the big strategy is natural ventilation. We want to keep down energy costs, and we want to open up the house, and it's designed to be a very breathable home. So we have natural ventilation augmented by windows. So windows open up, and then there's a whole house fan, and that's going to exhaust the house. It sucks all the hot air out of the house that builds up, and it blows it out through the attic.
Armstrong officials showed off the rainwater hog that day.
So we're standing here at a rainwater hog. These are located right off of the lanais. They take all of the carport roof, all of the runoff from the solar PV. It's collected in this overhead gutter. Downspout comes into this rain hog. This is 50 gallons, and they could connect in series. So we started the homeowners off with a single one. It's called a rain hog, rainwater hog. They're manufactured out of Australia. And it's a really neat design. The concept is that by having it very tall, you actually give yourself more clearance around it and also more water pressure. So when you open up, there's a spigot at the bottom. When you open this up, you actually can get a good level of water pressure. This you would hook up, the homeowner could hook this up to a drip irrigation system, put it on a timer, water their plants automatically. They could actually use it to rinse off the cars, rinse off outdoor water use.
Presented to architects, builders, and interior designers, the Dream Home Awards recognize companies and individuals who actually create the homes that Americans dream about while raising the bar for excellence in the national building industry. This is the second year in a row that Armstrong Builders has been honored by the Dream Home Awards. Last year, its Kumuhau project took home the Gold Award for the Best Detached Home of the Year. This week, Big Island Video News featured action from the 2012 Hari Boat Festival at Wailoa State Park in a news story. While we were there, we met a number of dignitaries from Okinawa, Japan, like the mayors of Nago City and Kumejima. And we also learned that these visitors were here for more than the boat races.
We have a relationship, sister-city relationship with Kona, and we also have a common that we have a deep sea water industry. And so that we are thinking about the future kids, future adult, the kids, to grow, learn something from here, and then we can make a good relationship for a long run, and we can exchange kids to educate it the both ways.
The Kumejima officials paid a visit to the Natural Energy Laboratory of Hawaii on August 19th. The Big Island enjoys a sister city relationship with the Okinawa town, which is based on the mutual development and advancement of the use of deep ocean water and ocean thermal energy conversion, known as OTEC for short, which is a resource that is available to both Hawaii and Kumejima. The officials toured the different facilities, like the Big Island Abalone Company. In Hilo, we also spoke to Michio Hamine.
We are looking for the sister high school.
With the kokua of a skilled interpreter, of course.
Because we have a sister city relationship with Kona.
Hamine is the principal of the Kumejima Senior High School. And while he was here, he was looking to form student exchange relationships with some of the schools in Kona.
コナウェナハイスクールともう一個ですね、ぜひ訪問したいと思っています。
We heard that there's a 14th high school in the Kona area, and we are sure that we're going to visit Kona Waiana, and then probably the one more high school to visit this Monday.
He already paid a visit to Kona Waiana and was looking forward to a visit with Kealakehe. That wasn't the only international exchange being hatched over the last week. On Tuesday, dignitaries from Hiroshima, Saga, and Shizuoka prefectures entered into an agreement with the state of Hawaii to promote cooperation related to clean energy and trade. An historic memorandum of understanding was signed in the hopes of solidifying the parties' commitment to engaging in technological development in renewable energy and energy efficiency, according to the state of Hawaii.